So folks, as I just said in my formal remarks, we have to bring these worlds of education and work together. That's where learning is headed. For us, it's not a fad. We've been working on this for a number of years with many of you in the audience. And our work on this has helped us understand that those that benefit are the schools and their learners, the businesses and their workers. And I am excited to share one of those great stories from one of our great customers here today. I want to introduce you to a very special guest, Dr. Richard Irwin, who's the Executive Dean, Global and Academic Innovation at the University of Memphis. He's a leader in strategic partnerships and a pioneer in delivering college-level knowledge and degree completion. Folks, give a warm welcome to Dr. Irwin. Welcome. Hey, yeah, thanks for being here. Have a seat. So, thank you again for being here.
Well, thank you for including me.
So I want to dive right in here. I want you to tell us about the partnership that you've created with FedEx, because I think it really illustrates a lot of what we've been just talking about.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to do so, and give a little bit of a backstory that you alluded to in your opening comments. Was FedEx was experiencing an incredible challenge, particularly from an employee retention standpoint. As you mentioned, they were at their hubs around the United States, they were losing 90% of that employment force on an annual basis. Very costly turnover at about $3,500 per person onboarding. So they sought a solution to that. They also realized that their employees didn't really have a path to professional development, skill development. They provided a generous tuition reimbursement program, but most of those employees couldn't front the money to get started. It was $3,000, but to pay that and have it sit for several months was just too much of a challenge. They had about a 3.5% user rate of that, which is normal around the United States, but that's not very many employees. They also were challenged by admissibility. Many of them didn't have the educational background to get in. As you also mentioned, with respect to today's society, there was anxiety about getting into school, and the entrance exams and so forth were prohibiting them from getting started. So
they weren't sure how to do it.
They weren't sure how to do it. They sought a partner. They knocked on a lot of doors.
Then they found you.
Eventually, they got to my office, which was very helpful and a kind of a dream come true for all of us. So each party, FedEx and ourselves, assembled a team to get together. We sat down initially and just wanted to listen to what their needs were. And that's critically important to take a look at this from that perspective. Is we needed to know what it was that were the drivers for their component. So we kind of went back to the university and revised a few things. Both parties needed to make policy changes to make this happen, procedural changes, and we came away with a pretty good product. We call it LiFE. It's Learning Inspired by FedEx, powered by U of M Global.
Well, that's great. So tell me a little bit more about what the program involved.
So the program is a pretty simple concept that any employee that's verified in the appropriate job code with FedEx Express at one of the hubs immediately qualifies and is eligible. There's no probationary period. No matter what their educational background is, we have a learning path for them, and there's should be no cost to the employee.
And there's a number of elements that you've built out as part of the program?
Yes, and so then the key components are our homegrown Smart Start program, which is used as a readiness assessment tool, so we can determine if they have the appropriate resources. For all of our global students, we have a built-in student support structure, which includes 24/7 tutoring. One of the real gems is our Life Prep Academy, which accommodates these folks, no matter what that learning pathway may have been previously, whether they lacked a high school equivalency, whether they lacked admissibility to the institution and had finished high school, or maybe started once before and it didn't go that well. All of those folks benefit from the Life Prep Academy, which is a 12 credit hour experience that not only earns their admission into the institution, but as soon as they complete it and earn that admission, those 12 credit hours are transcripted for them. Each student is provided a life coach that works with them from that point of entry to completion. And all of the hubs, we're in 5 hubs around the United States, each one of them has set up a learning center where the students have a safe and resourced place to do their learning. And lastly, for those that we find out early on need it, we have a laptop loaner program. So we make sure these people are appropriately resourced. Our life coaches review all of their background to find out what transfer credits they may have. We immediately have the opportunity to convert some of the FedEx training into learning, into prior learning assessment. And then the students obviously have no cost in getting in.
So there's 20,000 employees at FedEx. How many of them taken you up on this program already?
So far, we've had 3,000 express interest in the program, and we have them at various cycles of those learning experiences. So it's gone over very, very well.
That's pretty impressive. So that's about 5 times what you indicated earlier was the national average. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we've tried to keep up our staffing to meet that.
Yes.
One of the most important things that I want to mention, though, is that FedEx had a sense of urgency. They really had a call to action. And that's what, and we responded to that. We felt the same. And that's what really crystallized the relationship, brought the group together. That first meeting I spoke of was in March 2018. We launched 11 months ago, August 10th. So it was 5 months incubation period in putting this thing together.
That also is very impressive. So this is not easy to put together these partnerships. What advice would you give to companies that want to embark upon a similar program?
Well, reach out to the institution in your community. Find somebody that has a title like mine, or reach out to the provost. Find someone who's willing to make some changes and develop something that's convenient to all parties. Change is going to have to happen on both parties, I think, in order for this to work.
So you've given us a good idea of how it works and why you set it up. What's been the impact? How can you describe the impact?
Well, the impact has been great on both parts. I've had staff leave other positions on campus to work for us because they're so passionate about this work. And we have these thousands of students who are experiencing a life-changing moment and a career or a path to a college education. But I think better, instead of me describing that, we had one of the students join us, and I think it'd be better if we brought out Joe Kelly and had him tell his story.
Well, folks, we've got a special guest here. Joe Kelly, who's one of the program participants, is with us today. So, Joe, let's welcome you to the stage. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you, John. Appreciate
Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Irwin. Good to see you again.
Well, Joe, this is a real pleasure. You're in a room full of educators. They're really proud to see you here on stage with us. So, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You know, first of all, before we get started, tell me a little bit about your background before you started the actual program with the University of Memphis.
Well, typical student, back in the 80s, 90s, I graduated high school, enrolled in a 4-year college. I did all right. Started working at FedEx part-time. The great thing about FedEx is very fast-paced. There's a lot of opportunity, but as a result, once I started working at FedEx and started getting promoted, I quit school and didn't finish.
So why didn't you go back?
Well, typical guy. Met a girl, fell in love, got married, bought a house. Before you know it, 5, 10, 20 years goes by, suddenly you're in your 40s. And you got responsibilities, and there's just no money, no time, and just couldn't finish.
I hear you. I've got 2 young girls myself, and a third on the way in August. And I was just saying, time goes by really fast. Yeah, you can cheer for that.
I'm gonna pray for you.
Yeah, pray. Yeah,
I'm gonna pray.
Thank you. So, why did you decide to go back?
Well, I promised my mom when I started working at FedEx, I told her that one day I would finish. And I'm the only one in my family that didn't finish the degree. And she hounded me for years about go back. And I never got the chance to fulfill that promise to her. And a few years ago, she passed away, and I've always felt bad that I kind of let her down. Well, then there was an opportunity. I showed up for a management meeting at FedEx. Dr. Irwin was there, and it was like my mom was just reaching down from the heavens, slapping me upside the head, saying, this is your last chance. I'm giving it to you. And so it was great.
So, Dr. Irwin, you've got to tell me how you two have met.
Yeah. Like Joe mentioned, second week, about I think it was August 10th last year, was we finally were going to roll it out, and so we had two all managers meetings because of the two different shifts at the hub in Memphis. We were going to roll it out, and the auditorium is packed with folks, and so we went through all of the elements of the program and closed it out. And I turn around, and there's this long line of people that are ready to sign up right there, and this guy's one of them. So he filled out the form and turned it in to me, and he's walking off, and I'm looking at these years of experience, the gap that he had. He'd already been at the university. So it's like, buddy, wait a second, come on back here. We got a few things to talk about. And it's taken off since then, and I've been trying to keep track of how he's doing. And I think he started out well. He got a bunch of credits for all the leadership development that he had done over the years. He had already accumulated a bunch of hours at the university before he got this job, met a girl, and never came back.
So Joe, it sounds like you got some good experience. Why didn't you take advantage of some of the other programs that FedEx were offering?
FedEx had the tuition reimbursement program, but it's the upfront cost. When you've got kids and they're in school and you've got house note, there's no extra cash laying around. I mean, you just didn't have the money. And then when I heard the LiFE program, it was different.
So was it hard to go back?
Yeah, it was really difficult. When you haven't been in school for 30 years and all of a sudden you start going back, it's difficult. Last week I had a research paper that was due, and I'm an old school guy and went down to the library, and I'm expecting Rolodexes, and they're gone, they're not there. So I was getting frustrated because I couldn't come up with resources. I didn't know how to find these resources because it's different. And I was texting my wife and saying, I'm having problems. I don't know if I'm going to finish. And she goes, I'm going to call Kathleen. She's my daughter. She called me. She says, Dad, where are you? And I said, I'm at the library. She started laughing at me. She goes, Dad, you need to come home. Memphis has an online library. We can do it all at home.
All right. So there's another piece to this. Your daughter is there too?
Yes, she is. She's there, and I also have a son. My oldest son is a senior at the University of Memphis. He'll be graduating in December, and it's been amazing.
And are you trying to beat him?
Oh yeah, we've had this race to see who's going to graduate first, and we've been competing like, hey, what did you get on your test? I got an A. What'd you get? So. It's been fun, and I'll be graduating here on August 10th, a year after the program started, so thank you.
That's amazing, Joe. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And what do you think is next for you?
The great thing about this is it's going to open a lot of doors for me. I think going back to school, being in my 50s, I'm more mature. I've taken it more serious. It's changed my life. What I've learned is, it's made me a better person, better manager. I've recently won a 5-star award, which is FedEx's highest award you can get.
Wow.
And it just so happened to be the year that I was working and going to school. And I think being in school had a big impact on that.
So, have you enjoyed the program?
I've really enjoyed the program. It's made, it's helped me organize my time management, things I do at work, because I've got to do work, I've got to do school, and I've got to be a parent. So it's helped me. It's helped me do all that kind of stuff. It's made me better at my job. I've had more energy. I recently started a weight program. If you look at the pictures, how fat I was. I've lost 50 pounds. Everything in my life has changed for the better, and I feel like I'm 18 years old again and ready to conquer the world again.
I think we have a new value prop for education folks. So what advice would you give to people who have this same opportunity?
you got to just jump in. A lot of people are kind of, nervous about it. And, I was kind of nervous about it. I hadn't been in school in 30 years. You just got to get involved. Once you get in it, you can see that it's really an easy thing to do. And it's a program that you got good support groups, and they'll help you finish and help you get through. It's great for companies. The employees become better employees. They get better skills. They stay longer. I mean, it's a win for both people.
Joe, I think your mom would be very proud.
I'm hoping she was, and I can't wait when I graduate. I'm going to take a picture of me and my degree, and I'm going to go down to the cemetery and put it on her grave and tell her I did it.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Dr. Irwin. Folks, that's a great example of why we do what we do. Dr. Irwin and the University of Memphis, Joe and FedEx are onto something really big here. And I hope all of this inspires all of us, and use the next couple of days as an opportunity to look for these types of opportunities. So, folks, thank you very much for joining us on stage here today. I think from all of us, we want to give you a big round of applause for your story and for your accomplishment. Congratulations. Well done. Well done.